Hello and welcome to another edition of Arsenal Above All. I'm joined tonight by Brian Haley and Daniel James, who has just about thawed out from a very chilly Emirates Stadium, but he was warmed by 5 goals from the Arsenal. We managed to find our shooting boots and managed to know where the actual goal was and got a vital 3 points as we start our charge to get back to the top of the table. So we've got a lot to chat about. We've got some transfer hopes and wishes, more hopes and maybe a little bit of wishes. And we obviously will look ahead to the next game, which is going to be Forest in a long, long way away, because obviously it seems like everybody else is going to be playing lots of games apart from us, which could be a good or a bad thing. So we've got lots to crack on with, but before all of that, let's go. Welcome to the show, Brian. How you doing, my friend?
Yep, I'm good, Mike. I'm good. You see, Dan, we're in our Ashburton black tonight.
Yeah, like that one. Like that one. Thanks for coming on, man. And I've also got Daniel James with me, season ticket holder. Has been back there over the first time. Was it over the Christmas period? You didn't really get to go, but you went back to watch the game against Palace. How you doing, Daniel?
Yes, mate.
You all right?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I
I
can
couldn't
hear
hear
you.
you. Oh, I couldn't
Yeah.
hear you for a second. Yeah, I got you.
You okay?
Got
You all right?
oh, it's
Oh, I think
freezing
we're
a bit.
having
Hold on one sec. Hold on. Let me put my Wi-Fi. I think it's my Wi-Fi. Hold on one
having
second.
some gremlins. Not to worry. We'll let Daniel
Internet
talk.
gremlins. Yeah, I got
Yeah.
you. Sorry.
You
Yeah.
okay?
Gotcha.
You're right.
I'm here,
I
man.
know you. I know you said you were falling out, but I didn't think your Wi-Fi was falling out as well, man. I know it's been cold there, but I
Yeah.
didn't realize it was that bad.
Yes. No,
But
Wi-Fi was off, but it's on now.
no, thanks for coming on, man, and for both of
All
you
good, man.
spending your Monday evening with me chatting all things Arsenal as usual. So we'll crack on. Obviously, we saw all the shenanigans of what some of the players got up to. We saw the shenanigans of the manager being fed gold plated. Was it gold leaf steak by that guy? I don't know how that guy has managed to do what he's doing just by sprinkling some salt on a bit of undercooked beef. But it is what it is. People just can get their 50 minutes of fame and they just run with it. But we saw all of those shenanigans, and obviously he got some digs from the usual sources. But so we turned up with a vital game. Really, we had to bounce back. The first game at the weekend, the 12:30 kickoff, and we ran out comfortable winners in the end. But what was your thoughts on the general? I mean, we're going to chop it up, obviously, the way we normally do and let it flow. But Brian, what was your thoughts on the break and the vibes that you were getting? Because a lot of people were kind of thinking, well, all right, we've lost 3 games. People say they shouldn't go to Dubai. They should be more contrite and maybe just get their heads down and work hard, stay off the PR bit a little bit, which we seem to be Champions League level at, when it comes to that with our. But what was your thoughts going through that winter break, and then obviously how it built up to the way it was on Saturday against Palace, and how important it was to put in a performance, maybe not so much a performance, but just get the job done.
Yeah, I think. Look, as I said on the previous show, Mike, I said this is kind of the exit out of out of the FA Cup. It made it basically into a mini pre-season for us. Having that time away, we weren't playing particularly well. Obviously, with the back end of the defeats anyway. So it was. It's not. I like to say it's a blessing in disguise that we lost. We got knocked out of the FA Cup because we would want to still be in it. But as in the way that we were kind of playing, it was probably a good time really to have that kind of mid-season break for us to get away. You know, yeah, the PRE stuff. That's that's just the way it generally is. But I think getting away and for them to, I suppose, get things. A few things tactically right. I think we kind of saw that with the aspects of set pieces which we'll probably come on to in a bit as well. And I think just a reset. It was needed. A reset was needed. The first 20 minutes, 25 minutes, though, it kind of looked like we were still labouring on from, a few weeks ago before the break as well. The goal came from a set piece, which kind of, which is great. It was great to see. But the other parts of our play didn't. It just kind of still looked like we were still in that same position as we were in. And then I think the goals in the second half which were the ones really it was the pace upon the goals that we got. Yeah, the game opened up, and Palace weren't the great. Look, Palace were probably the greatest opposition we could have had after an international break.
Yeah.
Of a mid-season break, should I say, a winter break. They were probably the perfect opposition, and if we couldn't have got that right, then we wouldn't deserve to be even in and amongst the title challenge. To be honest with you.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, Palace obviously have given us a few, tough matches. We can remember the one where we think we were 2-0 up and then we chucked it away under Unai Emery at home, and that effectively chucked us to the Champions League. That was gone. Obviously, they beat us quite heavily 3-0 when we were going for the top four again. When Tottenham picked us to it after the bad start that they had. So yeah, it could have been a banana skin, Daniel. But what was the vibe like? Obviously, when the team came out, obviously the key thing was that Trossard started. Some people have kind of said that whenever Trossard starts, he kind of doesn't make a good account for himself. Especially playing on the left hand side, he's done better playing as the false nine when Jesus isn't playing. But what was your thoughts in the ground? Obviously, as Brian said, it was kind of important that we got off on the right foot, on this reset, and kind of showed that we were sort of meant business. But what was the feeling like in the ground, and just throughout that first half, which again, like I think we spoke at half time, where it just seemed towards the end of the game, where it just felt it was still like handbrake on football a little bit, and very, very controlled, very methodical sort of attacks, rather than letting the handbrake off to what we saw, as Brian mentioned, the goals in the second half, especially Trossard's goal. But what was your thoughts on the performance in the first half yourself there?
Yeah, the vibe in and around the ground was a bit subdued in terms of the recent form has obviously had an impact on all the fans. A lot of disappointment. I think that was compounded as well, probably by all the pundits and ex-players and that talking about our need for a number nine, a goal-scoring number nine, which is blatantly obvious. Talking about as well the front three not clicking. All of that is just being regurgitated by Neville and all the other chumps, just over and over again. There's this constant narrative with us, isn't there? At times, whenever we're playing good and things are going well, everybody jumps on the bandwagon. Oh, Arteta's doing great job, great young players, blah blah blah. As soon as one or two or a couple of bad results come along, oh yeah, look, they've got no cojones, they got no this, they got no that. They start looking at what we haven't got. When everything's going well, they're not looking at what we haven't got. Then they're lauding us, and so I think that does permeate through to the fan base. It wasn't the beginning of the game. It wasn't raucous. It wasn't loud and vibrant as it normally is. The North London Forever wasn't as passionate as it can be. And look, we have to be honest, fans, they go by results, don't they? We still support the club, we still go out, we watch them on TV, but you're only as good as your last game sometimes, and with our form, the last 7 games only 1 win before the Palace game, so there's naturally going to be a bit of anxiety and a bit of nervousness amongst the fan base, and I think that did kind of seep through to the players as well. I think they wanted to perform for the fans, but I think they too were nervous because they were probably wondering, where's when's the next moan or groan coming from, where you miscontrol the ball or your pass goes astray or whatever. As Brian said, the first quarter of the game was very, yeah. I was hoping it would come out of the blocks and just kind of take their heads off, but I guess it's a confidence thing. Maybe we just, yeah. As you said, Mike, with the PR stuff and all that, I wasn't, we spoke about that. I weren't too happy with all of that PR nonsense. I think after a period like that we've had, all these, yeah, for me, it's not for me, but, they are employees of the club. They are allowed to have their time of leisure and do what they want to do, as we all can when we go on holiday, we take a couple of weeks off or whatever. I guess the football is not the be all and end all. They've still got their families and their leisure time as well. So I guess we can't be too hard. But it
Yeah.
wasn't great. It wasn't great timing, I would say. But oh well.
Yeah, I mean, he made sure that the players' families came out as well. So it was like a proper break where they didn't have to worry about things maybe happening at home, what have you. And yeah, it was great. I mean, I think the reason people were so peeved off with Arteta was because of who the guy was. Who he was with, that sort of geezer. If it was anybody else, he probably wouldn't have minded. If it was any other celebrity, wouldn't have minded. But you got some guy who is he? What is he? And and it was just the way that he was going on. It was just weird, and I think it was more his boys and his family were trying to put him into that situation than Arteta himself. I don't think he would have put himself on blast in the spotlight like that. But no, at least one thing they did when they were out there in Dubai was work on set pieces. Thank God for that. Because we might have been going through that first half without not more goals. Brian, it's funny how things kind of work. Start of the season, this guy couldn't get in the team, and we were worried that he may be, sold for some substantial amount of money, and Partey was playing right back, if you remember, and he couldn't get inside. And at the restart of the season, he pops up with two. We'll give him the second goal. It's his goal, really. But the first goal, the thunderous header, after 11 minutes, just what you wanted, the start you wanted. What about his man of match performance, and outshone his buddy, the guy that we all sing about. I don't think Gabriel's got a song yet, but what was his performance? Was that a would you say that's a standard now? That commitment, that aggression, that focus, switched on focus, that's got to be it now, because we're effectively, I know it's a horrible thing to say, and we're just in January, but we've got 18 cup finals now because of what we did against Fulham, and because of what we did against West Ham, and because, like as Daniel said, was it 1 win in 7? Because of that form, we are in this situation where we can't afford to blink, and does that performance from him, that aggression, commitment, that's a standing we have to keep maintained now, especially with some of the tough games we've got coming up, Forest away, and obviously the big one against Liverpool. But what can you say about Gabriel and how he played on Saturday, bro?
I think, look, the goals, the goals. You can see that there was a level of determination, and that's what we've probably lacked for a number of years, really, probably since the days of Adams and Bold, basically in there, in and around, and even Sol Campbell to a certain degree, attacking into opposition's penalty boxes during sort of set pieces and stuff. What I'd say is it was a good, big shout really for the back four generally. You're up against an opposition that probably may not necessarily have given too much on the day, but they did their jobs well enough. Saliba, the job that he did on Mateta, where he was just trying to bulldoze everybody through the whole game, and they stood up to the aspects of that. yeah, they didn't have to deal with Michael Elise not playing, but and as they running at us, and we kind of dealt with that, when the chances that they did create, because they did create a few odd chances here and there. I was pleased with Zinchenko. It was a typical game for him, though. To be honest with
Mm.
you, typical game for him. For him to pop up in those areas to make the passes and make us progressive going forward. But as in for Gabriel, I'm pleased for him. But what we've got to look at is that there are going to be bigger tests ahead of
Yeah.
us,
Hmm.
and that's where our defending is going to be just as critical. And I think it's going to be, we're going to go back. We're going to probably, as fans, go back to that 1-0 to the Arsenal, and it will be stemmed by him, Saliba, Ben White, Zinchenko. It's going to be down to them really to give us those kind of 1-0 to the Arsenals really. And if we need a late winner from a set piece to win that game 1-0 and he scores it, so be it.
Yeah.
But his job has got to be at both ends at the end of the day, and he's done one part of it in that game, and we've got the clean sheet as well. So you can't ask for much more than that, really.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you had a list, Arteta, if he had a list at the start of the game, he probably would have ticked a lot of boxes after that, because he would have got a set piece goal again. He would have got a clean sheet. David Raya pulling off a save, even though it came from his kind of mistake, pulling off a good save, helping, contributing, with a goal, obviously with Trossard's goal. Martinelli coming off the bench and scoring a couple of goals, doubling his tally. Trossard scoring. The only thing probably he would look at would maybe Saka looked a bit off again. Jesus tried, but he got an assist. So there's a couple of things he could have ticked off and said, okay, that's good. We can work on that. But people, like you said, the levels need to be up now. And I was pleased for Trossard. I think Trossard, for me, Dan, is he's a great option, but I would definitely prefer to use him as a false nine, in Jesus's position if he's not fit or whatever. Apparently, I think Martinelli might have had a little bit of an issue, so that's why he was at risk at the start. But it looked all right when he came on. But yeah, what was your thoughts on a couple of the individual performances? It was interesting. I noticed Zinchenko picking up the ball on the right hand side a lot. He was actually starting off moves all the way over on the right hand side. It was totally unbalanced, the setup of the team. I mean, he was doing that a lot in the first half. So again, maybe Arteta seeing something that we can't see. We don't know nothing about football, do we? playing one of his 43 formations, probably, or something he was doing. But well, what was your thoughts on, again, like Brian, on a couple of performances? Were there any that obviously Gabriel stood out? But any that you may be concerned about, or you just think that maybe needs to be taken out the fire a little bit, or maybe do we delve into the transfer window? Do you think we will?
I think what Brian said was correct in regards to, it was Palace. It was the right game for us to not play that great and still win quite handsomely. I thought the scoreline did flatter us, to be honest. 3-0 would have been fine. 5-0 was a bit of a kick in the teeth for Palace. They didn't deserve that. They didn't play that badly, but we didn't play superbly neither. Anything can happen with set pieces, and Gabriel was there to put the two headers away, which was great. Standout performances, obviously, apart from Gabriel, there was no one else that really caught my eye. Zinni popping up on, I don't know what that was all about, honestly, but it's a game, as Brian said, that we can get away with that kind of thing. The bigger tests to come, and definitely Forest away is going to be difficult. They're fighting against relegation, possible points deduction. You know what I mean? New manager bounce as well, so that's not going to be easy. Ex-keeper as well. Our ex-keeper's there. He's going to want to prove a point. So that's going to be quite a difficult game. I don't care what anyone says. We can't be looking at that thinking, yeah, that's going to be easy 3-pointer.
Yeah.
We need to win that and win it well, so that we can set ourselves up for a nice, confident performance against Liverpool. But in terms of players who I wasn't happy with in terms of the performance, this has been recurring. But Saka, something's got to give there. I don't know what it is. If he needs a break or if it needs competition, or he's got like a lot of people are saying he's got the big contract now, and the performances are not as high quality as they were last season. And look, he's still young, man. He's still going through development. He's still learning a lot. He's figuring out how to get around teams that are doubling up on him. They're kicking him a lot. He's getting a lot of foul. He must be one of the most foul players in the league. I haven't checked the stats. He's got to be up there. So he's obviously got to mitigate all these different factors that defenders are now employing all these different tactics to get around him. Same with Martinelli. He hasn't fared so well with it. He's kind of had his head down a lot, I feel, and that's really affected his confidence in his performances. But ultimately, for me, the one player who I'm very disappointed with, who we're just not getting absolutely much from at all, apart from popping up in the middle and popping up here and there and everywhere, is Jesus, man. Um, I'm really, I'm really gutted because I was hoping that he would turn out more than what he has so far. He's still young. There's still a lot of time to go with him. What is he, 26? Who knows how he's going to develop? Maybe the rest of this season and next. But when you think about all top sides that win stuff, you
Yeah,
need a goal scorer. You need someone who's reliable when there's that the chance in the 6 yard box and just around the 18-yard box, that if they get a shot away and if they're not scoring, it's on target. Do you know what I mean? And I think that is a focal point at the moment for many Arsenal fans. Certainly is in the media, but putting them aside, um, we definitely urgently need to address that. Will we go in the transfer market? We've been speaking, Mike, and I said I don't think we will. I think FFP are kind of on us, and we're skating on thin ice in that regard. So, would we take a Benzema loan? We were talking about it, Mike. We would, but can Arteta manage the big personalities? That's the problem.
no,
But certainly, maybe we're going to make use of a loan or whatever. Let's see what they bring. But I think we just got too much dead weight in the club. Too much money going on wages.
yeah.
Players that we can't shift. You know, we can think of 4 or 5 players easily that we haven't been able to shift. And I
Mm.
think ultimately that's going to block our transfer aspirations.
Yeah, yeah. I kind of said in the window we need to sort of look at the midfield. It looks like maybe Jorginho might be looking at the exit. Then they're talking about Besiktas and maybe approaching. Obviously, what the 22nd, we've got like less than 10 days to go before the window closes. Obviously, Party might be back, but yeah, I would love us to get someone in only because of the worry of what happened at the end of the game, towards the end when Declan Rice came off. And I know it was precaution. And that's what everyone's saying. It's precautionary. He's said to Emma Smith Rowe on the way off, it was hammy. It was his hamstring, so he felt a little bit of tightness. And obviously, I think we 3-0 up at the time, so we could afford to do that. But yeah, he didn't have the most. He did some great bits as he usually does. Keep the ball going, ticking over. But he's tailed off a little bit his performances, Rice. And again, it could be because he's carrying. It could be because he's carrying something. It could be the case with what we've heard with Saka, that he's got a really chronic Achilles situation, and he's just being nursed through it. And the worry is something like that. It could go pop, and and you can't rest him because obviously there isn't anyone. Arteta doesn't believe there's anyone who can come in and do a job to the level. But if he's not at the level, that we expect him to be, then it's kind of like, well, what does that say for people like Nelson and the rest? Was you going to say something, Brian?
Yeah, what it is, you were saying about his carrying, saying he's carrying our midfield by.
Yeah,
because we have the left 8 position is basically vacant.
Yeah,
he's carrying that role at this moment just as much, because Kai Havertz is not doing him any favors whatsoever in there.
No.
Okay.
No.
Odegaard does what he does. He's busy and starts to create and stuff like that. But it's like, in some respects, it's kind of the sooner we get Thomas Partey back. In some respects, it will give us that slightly different. Give us either in certain games we can bolster up a bit, because for me he's doing far too much in that, and it was inevitable something would happen to him at some stage, because he's carrying that midfield at times. So yeah, I think if we think about kind of the ML Smith Rowe situation as well, when he came on for the last 20 minutes in that for Havertz, there was more industry in that 20 minutes that we've seen probably from ESR, and we've probably seen from Havertz for the best part of the season. And that's an opportunity for the boy to get a run out. As far as I'm concerned, and that would hopefully, he's the physical physique of him now. You can see the difference in him now. He will be that extra strength in possibly those sorts of areas that we need, which Havertz probably doesn't give us.
Yeah, you can see the difference, as you said, when he came on. Obviously, people want him to do well, and as you said, I think I sent a message to yourself, I think, and to the guys in the Arsenal chat about Havertz's contributions. There's no shots to target. There was no, he had the lowest passes of the midfield three, no tackles. I think he led on fouls as well in midfield. Yeah, he just, the game passed him by, and it was like it again. And if you've got someone like that in there, and you've got Rice, he's used to, obviously he's played with Souček at West Ham, so it was kind of like he was a guy doing, doggies for him a little bit and taking some of that pressure away. And then there's times when Rice could go, but Rice is doing all of that, and we really need to get Partey back, so there's someone there to add that sort of power and presence in there, because it's just not working. And we've got to remember that up until Partey got injured, Havertz weren't playing. He was actually out of the team, and he was playing Partey and Rice for a couple of games, and then obviously he got himself back in again because of the injury to Partey again. So it did seem like Arteta realised, okay, that this midfield thing isn't working. I've got to try and maybe use him as the false nine option. But you kind of worry that if Emil Smith Rowe continues to get minutes and shines in those minutes, it's going to maybe show, he's going to push against Arteta to say, well, look, he's proven me wrong because I've put so much faith in Havertz, and this guy's coming in and he's just doing his usual bits, and it's a lot better than what Havertz is doing. It's more natural. That might make him even go more all in on Havertz and trying to get him in to prove everyone that he was right, rather than, okay, yeah, all right, I overthought it, I'm going to put Smith Rowe in there. Because, like you said, bro, I think he gets it. He can play that position. I think he almost got on the end of a chance. He just overstretched it, and if he'd have controlled it, he would have got shot away. Had a lovely little link up with Jesus as well. I believe on the left hand side, a nice little pass around the corner. So in that instance, Dan, would you still look to, if you had a wish, where would you get that player? If you had to get somebody in, would it be a striker, or would it be someone in midfield to kind of get some cover for Rice, or would it be like a defender, considering the situation with Japan? I think Japan are struggling in the Asia Cup, so it might be a chance that Tomiyasu might be back sooner than expected. But what's your thoughts on the window? If you had one position that you would have us get somebody in on, what would it be? And the same to you, Brian, after.
Yeah, we spoke about this, Mike. 100% it would be a goal scoring forward. If you look at the team since Arteta's been there, he's never bought a goal scoring forward. He's never bought a striker. He's bought a bunch of midfielders and defenders. He's never bought someone who knows where the goal is on a consistent basis. So for me, that's what I would do. All due respect to Eddie, he's come up in our academy. He's one of us. But if there's anyone who would have to take the fall for us to get a decent amount of money and to make it happen, sadly, it probably would be Eddie. there are other academy players that we've had who I've seen more potential in. I think for me, Willock was a big loss. I thought he was doing quite well. He would have been a really good player for us had we held on to him, but that's gone and done and dusted. So, but yeah, it would be a goal scoring, a proper number 9, not a false 9, not a, because I believe that with Trossard and with Jesus, we could cover. We could cover for a proper
Yeah.
goal scoring number 9, like a Benzema or like a Tony or Osimhen or one of those kind of guys. Yeah, so that's what I would do.
Mhm.
But what you wish for, you don't always get.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I think if it is a striker, it has to be someone that could link up the play, could be a target as such. Have physical presence, can get in behind. So you can play the ball in behind,
Yeah,
and pretty much create stuff out of his own back. He maybe doesn't rely on getting service and stuff. And there's only one player I could think that can do that.
don't say that swear word.
He plays for Newcastle. And I think he's, apart from his susceptible a little bit injury record, I think his style of play and everything like I've just mentioned, he would be perfect because I'll tell you, he doesn't want a striker that's just going to be there up front, like a bit like Haaland, who doesn't do anything. Because you look at Haaland and you don't watch Haaland for his general play. He's not that great a player. He's just the guy can just finish. Whereas Isak, you look at his play outside of that, and you saw that goal he set up against Everton last season. What one of our players is doing that? And he can create things on the swivel, but he's got the pace to get in behind. He can lead the press. He ticks all the boxes. That's why I was so gutted that we didn't get him when we had the chance, because it looked like he ticked because his age profile as well. So for me, I agree with you. I would be getting a striker in. I'm a little bit worried about midfield, but I would be getting a forward in, and that would be Isak. But you would have to pay stupid money to let him go in January. It would have to be a summer thing. But what about yourself, Brian? What would you do with a couple of days left in the window?
Well, we discussed about the Isak situation. FFP's the one in it. It's really doing us, because this is possibly a good time to possibly test Newcastle's kind of resolve a little bit. If it wasn't for our adventures in the summer, should we say? Because I'd have him. Again, as we said, kind of the injuries is a little bit of an issue, but it's quite funny actually, because watching Brentford at the weekend with Ivan Toney back, it's like he's playing for a move. If you see the way that he played,
he was brilliant. He was brilliant.
He was everywhere.
He was outstanding. Yeah,
he was everywhere. He did everything. Held it up, went wide, played balls into the box. He did everything. That boy is playing for a move.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now it's not going to happen in January. It's just not. Okay, but you can see he's already playing for. He's already eyeing the summer. He's eyeing the summer already. He's off. So, but as in now, as in the here and now, what can you get? We can't spend, we can't buy anything, so we can't. Who are you going to loan? As I said, if we're going to, I said in the previous cast, Mike, whatever we loan, we're going to be loaning a player basically who's not playing for their own team at the moment, or only got 6 months left on their contract. And there's not probably many out there at this moment anyway. It's that's the position. I think, to be honest with you, I think we're kind of covered everywhere, and I think the return of, you said, Tomiyasu probably coming back, Timber may come back even just for at least the running, because we've got to think about it. We are in a whatever we look at it, we're in a title running. We're there or thereabouts. And I'd rather be in the position in some respects of where we are, where we're in a mix of sides, and we're not. It'd be nice to be up top and out in front, but we've shown last season that what it has to take to stay there.
Yeah.
This season, I'd rather be in the mix. Because if people are dropping points here, there, and everywhere, and then you're picking up points, you know, and then coming into April and stuff like that, where it's getting tighter, you know, that's the way I look at it. But as I said, with the transfer window, it's going to be a struggle to get anybody on a forward line. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be a summer job, isn't it? But I think that's where, as Danny said, we haven't, or Arteta hasn't spent properly on a like a proper number 9, a gunman. I think that's where we need to spend the money. But I still think we need to spend money in midfield as well, because you look at Anelli and Jorginho, they should be thanks, but see you later. Party, it looks like that he's gonna maybe go, or we're gonna get any kind of reasonable go with that. Will Zubimendi come in to soften that blow a little bit? But he's untried and tested in the Premier League. So I think even now, with the money that he spent, especially in midfield, we still need to work on that midfield. He still needs to get plug some gaps there, get some quality in, but he needs to get the forward in. And I think the money that we spent on Havertz has basically blown a lot of that, and now we have to try and recruit that. And I imagine a lot of that's going to be, well, some of it's going to be from Ramsdale's sale as well, because he's done and dusted in the summer as well. So it's going to be a case of who we get out and being smart on who we get in. But is it going to be too much out? I think just to get a couple of two quality players in, because I think that's what's going to happen. We may have to. It might be another rebuild or continuation of it, to get up to where we need to get to.
Well, I think we said before, Mike. The likes of Charlie Patino is a great opportunity to bring. When he's got another loan. Yeah. He's doing well in that other loan. And the loan in the Championship is it's hard graft. It's a 46 game season, so he's playing more games than what they're playing at the moment. So he's getting that game time. You've got to start, and we've discussed this before. We've got to start to look to try and blood some of the youth players in as well. That will say, look at aspects of saving us some money if they're coming through. They're going to make mistakes. But you have to look at just City, and you have to look at Liverpool. They are blooding in their youngsters into the side. They're taking that risk. They make mistakes. They know they're gonna basically be like sponges, and they'll learn from those mistakes, and then they will rectify them. But we're seeing them on the bench, but we're not seeing them out playing.
Yeah, it's almost like that trust issue again. It's like he doesn't trust them to execute whatever game plan he has, or what he wants them to execute. But I think someone said, if you don't use the academy, what's the point? What's the point in having it? What's the point in having investing all this money and getting these kids up? Getting them playing with the first team players, training. If you don't give them 5 minutes, I don't know. I can't remember who was on the bench at the weekend. I don't think any of the kids were. But let me see. You got Walters was on there. That was it, wasn't it? There's nobody else. Wanyeri or Skelly weren't on there. So again, that would have been great. Them getting 5-10 minutes, but that wouldn't have happened, would it? Because he still would have put ESR on. He still would have put a Jorginho on. The senior players. Whereas another manager would have said, "Okay, here you go, kid. Have 10 minutes." So that again, that's an issue. That is definitely an issue. You're right, Brian. I think Patino, by all accounts, he's having a good season. He's getting some goals and assists. It'll be interesting to see what happens pre-season next year when he comes back, because I think he's got a year and a bit left in his contract then. So I think they're going to weigh it up, and then it could be a case of him going, because I think they got him to sign that just so they could weigh up the options. But from the sounds of it, it seemed like he wanted to leave last year, and they managed to sort of talk him around it. So that's a bit of a surprise, really, that he, when he got blooded into. I think what it could have been was he played, obviously, the League Cup, didn't he? He scored on his debut, and then he played against Forest, didn't he? And he was chucked in the midfield. I can't remember if it was with El Neni against Forest, and he got run over, basically. He got
Yeah.
absolutely run over. And he didn't get a look in again for the whole season. Literally, Arteta just said, and maybe it was just the way that happened was just throwing him, and he just thought, well, you know what, I'm just going to try my luck somewhere else. But we'll see what happens. But obviously, Forest in 8 days time, they'll have a couple of games between them. I think they've got the FA Cup between them. Obviously, Nuno's back in the building there, and they were involved obviously in that game at the weekend with Brentford. They look like they can cause some problems, and I think you were saying Dan, they're not going to be no mugs. I know they've got a lot of players away for African nations, but this is it, isn't it? This is us going away, being tough, getting a 1-0 and getting out of there, isn't it? It's not about people are saying, the performance. The usual stuff. Arsenal didn't play well, but we won 5-0. Can they play better? That's the narrative. Whereas, look at Liverpool yesterday. Didn't play well. It was a horrible first half. Absolutely horrible first half. Second half, they turned it up and they obviously blew Bournemouth away. And the narrative there is, typical championship winning team. That's what the championship winning team does. But with us, it's like, we can play better. What's the problem with Arsenal? Is there a problem? We score 5 goals at home, and what's the problem with Arsenal still? What is it? So we've got that to deal with. But obviously, as you said, if we take 1-0s for the next 8 games and we get into that run-in where we fell away last time and we're in the mix, it's going to be difficult because we've got to kind of rely on 2 teams to drop points this time. But what's your thoughts for the rest of the season, Brian? I mean, do you think the Champions League's going to be a bit of a hurdle, or it could be, depending on how the dices land there, or how do you think it's going to pan out?
Well, like I said at the start of the season, not necessarily people agreed with me with it anyway, but the Champions League this season is a free hit as far as I'm concerned, because we haven't been in the competition for how many years, for a number of years. So, we're going to be in the mix-up and the shake-up for Champions League places for next season anyway, if we win the league or not. Unless it's catastrophic 18 games that we have in front of us. So this year's Champions League for me is kind of a free hit. We go in there with we've got no pressure on us in that aspect. The only pressure that we generally have is only on the basis because of our own the domestic season of last season, but they've got nothing to measure us on 8 years of not being in the competition, give or take. So it's kind of the players and the club look at that as a free hit, it's an opportunity of being there in another cup competition where we're already out of 2 anyway. So take it as you will. But the rest of the season in itself, look, as I said, I'll take 1-0 all through. Now, it's a mini. This is like the next kind of mini season now of 18 games. I'll take 1-0 all the way through now, all day long. Performances could be shocking, but we win 1-0 every game and we're in the mix. I'm happy with that, because we were blessed last season to a certain degree without winning the league with the type of football we played and the types of games. But now this is a time where we've got to look a little bit differently and try and win football matches in different ways. And that was just, from the set pieces and stuff like that we've looked at. We're looking at winning football matches in slightly different in different ways now. And that's what we've got to do. And we've got to be a little bit more consistent about it, though, as well. Yeah,
I think we've played we've had the better performances in the Champions League this season, haven't we? I think the league, obviously 1 or 2 games, but I think in the overall, I think our better performances, on the eye, as you've probably been there, Dan, you've seen some of them. It's been a lot more fluid, almost like the way we played last season against them, and maybe that is, like as Brian said, because of the unpredictability, or teams haven't really got, obviously they can analyse film and what have you. But there's this kind of more freedom to play against those teams because maybe it's a little bit slower. Then we can go a little bit faster. But what's your thoughts on just how things are going to go for the next few games? Is it literally is every game's a cup final now? We have to because of what we've done in the last couple of games, because of that run we've had before up to Christmas and the New Year.
Yeah, I think for me the attitude is every game from now on is a cup final. Exactly that, Mike. I think because of our history of how we tend to kind of collapse in the second half of seasons, it's a very Arsenal thing, isn't it, guys? It's a very Arsenal thing. Second half of seasons, somewhere between January, February, and April, we just let it go completely. It's a very Arsenal thing. um, so for me, yeah, realistically, if I said to you, Mike, in it before on WhatsApp, start of the season, I knew that I was aware that City were not going to get any worse, and that Liverpool were not going to have another bad season as they did last year. So them two are going to be definitely up there. So if I'm honest, we've not signed in a goal scorer and other bits and bobs with problems we've been having with the keepers and the fullbacks and Zinni's issues and Partey's injury issues and Timber going down. I probably would have taken, top three and then a good run in the Champions League or the domestic cup. Obviously, we got knocked out of the domestic cups, not in great fashion as well. And so, yeah, top three, good run in the Champions League. I'll take it on the basis that in the summer the club go absolutely mental. Get the dross out, get players that we need in, and give it a real go. Yeah, I think this season it's. I'll be surprised. I'll be surprised if we can topple City or Liverpool this season. I'll be very surprised.
Yeah,
that's me. Yeah,
yeah. We just have to be wary of obviously what's behind us as well.
Yeah,
the team that we shouldn't mention, but they're obviously just behind. You never know what could happen. And obviously, they're starting to get their players back as well. Obviously, Villa are sort of like the fly in the ointment as well. Wondering, or the elephant, I should say. People wonder why they're there, how they get there, and they're still there. But yeah, you're right, guys. Every game now is a must win, and I think that we can't afford to. I think anything is pressure. It's pressure football, and if we can get to the last 10 games in the league in the position of where we are, or maybe a couple of points closer to Liverpool, because obviously it's 5 points, and get a fit party and get a Timber back in April, because looking ahead, if we manage to get through the Champions League last 16, we're in the quarterfinals, and that doesn't resume until April. And by then, hopefully, we could have Timber back, and that'll be massive. If he comes back, they're talking about him joining up with full training next month because of how things are going. Yeah. So, and I even think if that was the case, I still don't think he will play probably to the end of February, if that's the case. But I mean, just having him as an option, for that. Imagine if he's on the bench for the first leg or the second leg of that Champions League game. So yeah, we just need to make sure we're in the right positions to capitalise. And a striker would be great, but it's not going to happen. We're going to have to wait until the summer. Like you said, hopefully Dan go mad. So so we leave it there. Obviously, good to resume with a great win, scoring a few goals. Hopefully, blowing the cobwebs out with a few players. Need to get Saka sorted out, find out what's going on with him there, and someone, don't know if you go to the Emirates, can you get a sign? Because of course, Palace fans had a great banner up.
yeah.
I don't know if you're going to do it at these levels. I mean, we'll show it because obviously, they did mention something about the VAR on there as well. But yeah, it was interesting. And I do have. I think we have time for Palace because there's a lot of history. I mean, for example, George Graham and Kenny Sampson were there in the stadium. Great to see Kenny Sampson as well. Obviously, with all the problems that he's had, George Graham was there. Obviously, in Palace, obviously we've got Ian Wright of them, and the history there. But if you go to the Emirates again, I don't know if you could sneak it in a banner. So whenever Odegaard has the ball and he's got no one in front of him, and he can shoot, can you just get a sign that says shoot? And then if he doesn't, the next time, if you just put FFS shoot, and then for the second one. So that's the only thing I think we need to sort out. Just shoot, man. Because something touches, all these tippy tappy touches. Just shoot, for God's sake. But we'll leave it there on that rant, on that little negative rant. But no, thanks, Brian. A pleasure as always. Thanks, Daniel. Pleasure. And just keep bringing in good luck. If you try and go to as many games as you can, because we should try and capitalise if there is a slip up this year. And I think it's going to be. I think having Partey and Timber back is going to be the key. I think in this second half of the season. But thanks very much. Thanks for watching. Thanks for everyone that's following us on YouTube and listening on Spotify and Anchor and Acast. We're going to get this out soon. We'll be back in a couple of weeks after the Forest game and have a build up for the Liverpool game. I'm debating on whether we should get our mutual friend, Liverpool fan, on here, Brian, let him infiltrate. And Drew. I haven't asked him yet, but I don't know whether if that just be grenades going off all over the place. We'll see. Or maybe afterwards, I don't know. But it may be X-rated stuff, and definitely not for kids when I upload the video. But no, thanks for watching. Thanks for watching, everybody. Brian and Dan, love to the family. All the best. And we'll see you all next time around. Come on, you guys.
Remember, Giroud into the box, and they have immediately.